Most people would probably disagree with the idea that perfection's the normal state. Everyone is somehow striving for perfection, whether it's in appearance or in their level of education. People go for another doctorate. They go back to university, even when they're already retired. People are always trying to take another training course. At least I've very often encountered these kinds of people in my Neurotango Practitioner training programs. And these are exactly the people who often have a problem with the title of my training book, which is called The Perfect Therapy. But you have to take a closer look at what is actually meant by that. I don't claim to have developed the perfect therapy, even though, of course, physiotherapists, occupational therapists, psychotherapists, neurologists, coaches, and dance therapists are all part of my training. So I cover a very wide range with a single concept, but I don't claim to have developed a perfect therapy. The whole point is to express something more, that the human being as a whole is already perfect. For example, we don't need to control whether we breathe, whether our heartbeat works, or how our thought processes function. All of that just works on its own. It simply exists. We are born, our cells grow, develop, and at some point, the whole thing is subjected to degenerative processes again. And of course, you can do something about it. For example, that's what things like Neurotango are for, so that you can keep yourself cognitively and physically fit for as long as possible. But the idea behind it isn't optimization. The idea behind it is balance. To be in a state where you find your center, your balance, and through movements of balance, also find an inner equilibrium physically, psychologically, neurologically, and socially. And that's exactly the goal, the meaning and purpose behind it, not perfection. And that's why there are also people who are shaped by the perspective that perfection is something negative or that perfection doesn't exist. And there are other people who perceive themselves, their environment, and everything around them as already perfect, or at least in many areas as acceptable, as something they can look at with satisfaction. And achieving this satisfaction with oneself and with the environment is, I believe, something that Neurotango can accomplish very well by finding balance, by repeatedly returning to the embodiments of equilibrium. And that right there is essentially the core philosophy that drives Neurotango and the philosophy behind the entire training concept, what we consider to be the truly perfect therapy.